Today's lesson is 3.3, Solving Absolute Value Inequalities. When we solve an absolute value inequality, it is very similar to solving an absolute value equation. We do end up with two inequalities. The first one, we leave the inequality sign the same. So if you look down here at example 1, we would leave it the same. And in the second one, we change the sign. So we're going to flip it. It has to stay or equal to. We cannot change that because if we flip the bar, it still stays the bar. We change the sign and we flip it. So we're going to make it -10, just like we did last time. So a +10 and a -10, but with the negative this time, we also flip the inequality. Let's go ahead and get started. I have 3 examples for you. Just like in the equation, we have to make sure that this part is completely alone so that it says only the absolute value is less than or greater than, and then the number. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to say x plus 2 and keep the sign exactly the same. There's the first equation that we're going to solve. For our second equation, we're going to take the purple part, x plus 2. We're going to flip the sign over. Remember, if it has the bar or equal to bar underneath, it keeps it. It's just the sign on the top. It's just this guy right here that will flip. And then we're going to do -10 like we did in the equations. All right, let's go ahead and solve these. Remember, your inequality can flip on you if you divide by a negative number. So to get this x alone, I would go ahead and subtract 2. This means our bar is not flipping, or our sign is not going to flip, and our first inequality is x is less than or equal to 8. In the second one, remember we just got to be careful because that guy can flip on us if we divide by a negative number. We're going to solve it the same way. Subtract 2, subtract 2. Our sign is not going to change. Our flipped sign is not going to change. And -10 minus 2 is -12. One extra part that you're going to be asked to do in an inequality is to graph the solution. When we graph a solution, we grab a number line. There we go. And we need to see both of the numbers on our number line. So 0 is always a good thing to see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you can put some more lines if you'd like. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. -12. I know that was a little bit of a skip there. Remember, your circles are going to go this one at 8 and this one at -12. Remember, this symbol is going to tell you where to shade, how to shade, and how to, if it should be opened or closed. So the first thing you're looking for is there a bar? There is a bar for 8, so let's go ahead and shade it in. Look at 12. There is a bar, so let's go ahead and shade it in. Now, if you look at the 8, remember when X is first, this is like an arrow, so it's telling you to shade in this direction. Be careful. You can start shading a little bit, but I wouldn't get too crazy with the shading. In fact, let me go ahead and do 8 in purple, so, right? Because this symbol right here is telling me to shade to the left. When I look at the 12, it is telling me to shade to the right. So what's happening here? They're just going to kind of go ahead and they're going to mix together, stopping once they hit the dot. So there's the shading. Does it have to be both colors? No, you could have just come in here with the black and shaded in between the two. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at another example. So once again, we want to make sure that this guy is completely alone so that we can go ahead and solve. We're going to set it up 4x minus 3. Keep the symbol the same, +9. And then 4x minus 3, flip the symbol, make it a -9. That's it. These are going to be a two-step equation. Normally, when there's a two-step equation, you have more of a chance of getting that symbol to flip, so just be careful. Remember, you're solving for x. If you need to, it's not a bad idea to go ahead and highlight it. We're going to go ahead and add the 3 to both sides. And remember, just like in the equalities, if you want to, you could do these two at the same time because your operations are going to be the same plus the 3, and then here, oops, the dividing by 4. Here's where I have to really look. Are these negative? No, they are not. They are positive, so our symbol's going to stay the same. X is greater than 3. Let's go ahead and do this one over here. Oops, that's supposed to be a circle. There we go. Maybe just a little bit longer. Perfect. Same operations, same operations. It's just when I actually add 3 to -9 that I'm going to go ahead and get a different number. I'm going to get -6. I'm still going to divide by +4. Is my sign going to flip? No, it didn't flip on the last one. It's not going to flip here. And I could leave it as the fraction, -3/2, or the decimal 1.5, -1.5. If I were to graph this, there we go, I would need to see 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. And of course, I could put more if I'd want. Put my circle, and then -1, -2, -3, -4. So here's -1, here's -2. This is where my circle's going to be at the half mark. And now I'm going to make a decision. Where should I shade? Where should I shade? Let's go back and say, should we fill these in? Well, look at the symbol here. Is there an or equal to bar? No, no, there is not. So we're going to leave it open. Is there an or equal to bar here? No, no, there is not. So let's go ahead and leave it open. We're going to go ahead and take a look at this symbol right here. Remember, when the X is first, it's telling, this is an arrow pointing where to shade. So we're going to shade this way. Shade this way. All the way, look, it's never going to stop because it's not going to hit that circle. So it's shading in this direction. Let's take a look at this one. The X is first, so it's like an arrow telling you to point to the left. So you're going to go ahead, or sorry, to shade to the left, and you're never going to hit a stopping point of a solid dot like we did on the last one. So this is what it looks like. Do you have to do it in color? No, I'm just using it to help you out. All right, I think you guys have got it, but let's go ahead and take a look at this last one just in case. And the reason for this last one is because, take a look, it's got a fraction. Let's go ahead and everything so far has been really good. Notice we just have an absolute value less than or equal to a number. So let's go ahead and set up our two equations. Let me make that a little bit smaller. Remember, for the first equation, the inequality stays the same, and we keep the positive 17. For the second one, remember the inequality flips, and it becomes a -17. All right, here we go. So what I could do here is show you a couple of different ways to get rid of a fraction. But I think I'm going to use this one certain way. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 5 from both sides. And of course, once again, like I said, if you want to do the other one at the same time, you are welcome to. 17 minus 5 is 12. Now, a good way to get rid of a fraction is to multiply it by its reciprocal. Just go ahead and flip it. That's going to make your numerators and the 2's cross out because one is a numerator, one is a denominator. And then the 3's as well. One is a numerator, one is a denominator. Then I'm going to come over here and multiply it by that reciprocal, that flipped fraction. And of course, I'm just going to go into my calculator and I'm going to place that in there. I am not multiplying by a negative. That fraction that I multiplied by is not negative. So I'm going to go ahead and say that my inequality symbol does not flip. 12 times 3 divided by 2 is 18. So there's my first one. I'm going to go ahead and do the next one. Remember, the only thing that's going to change is that I'm going to have a different value when I subtract the 5 and when I multiply by the 3 over 2. So negative 17 minus 5 is going to be negative 22. And I'm going to go ahead and multiply by the flip, the reciprocal, the flipped fraction. I'm going to my calculator. I'm going to ask myself, or here, I got negative 33. Don't worry about what your answer looks like, what the sign of your answer is. Ask yourself if this number is negative. This number is not negative, so your sign is not going to flip back, okay? All right. Ooh, that's going to be a lot of dots to put um, onto my number line here. So let's just do this. Here is 0, and let's just say here's 18. Okay, perfectly fine. If you want to put some little reference point lines in between, you can. It doesn't have to necessarily um, be congruent. You're going to have multiple choice. Oh no, you're going to go ahead and just graph for me. I thought it was a Schoology assignment, but it's not. I'm sorry. And then the same thing over here. You could put the negative 33 and you could put a reference point or maybe 2 if you wanted to. Let's go ahead and put our circles at 18 and negative 33. And then let's go ahead and look at our inequalities. Should we shade them in? 18, yes. Negative 33, yes. They both have the bar underneath. So let's go ahead and shade them in. There we go. There we go. And since X is first, remember they are simply pointing in the direction for you to shade. So it's pointing to the left. So I'm going to go ahead and shade. And once I get to the other circle, I must stop. This one is pointing to the right. So from the negative 33, I'm going to go to the right. And once I get to the other circle, I'm going to stop. That's simply it. Good luck on your assignment.